Hey everybody, today we are going to be taking a look at some of the polynomial operations by adding, subtracting, and multiplying the polynomials. So let's go ahead and get started. Like terms are defined as having the same variable and the same exponent. When you're adding and subtracting your polynomials, you add and subtract only the coefficients. And those would be the numbers that are in front. So now when we're adding our polynomials, that's what we're going to look at first. You're going to remove their parentheses and rewrite each term. You don't need to change any signs, and then there you should be combining like terms. And note your final answers should be in standard form. And this is where your exponents are in descending order. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at a couple of examples here. So our first example is just straightforward addition. So our rules are saying to just remove the parentheses and combine the like terms. So you may have been taught to underline, to box, to circle, whatever you need to do, or maybe you can line up the corresponding polynomial underneath what you already have. That's many different ways of combining your like terms. We can just circle them, we can put a box around them, and that would be fine. So we want to combine 3x to the third. Okay, so we're going to look at our other polynomial over here because we are adding. We're going to add that to a 1x to the third, and 3 plus 1 is going to be 4. So we add the coefficients in the front, keep the variable and the exponent. Okay, so now we're going to move on down the line. We have 2x squared, a positive 2x squared, and we can combine that with our x squared over here, which is a negative 10. So we are going to combine the coefficients of 2 minus 10, which is negative 8, x squared. Okay, so moving on down the line, here I have a negative x. I'm going to circle this one. Well, I don't have any x's over here, so guess what? We're just going to bring down the negative x since we have nothing to combine with it. Now I'm going to combine my my negative 7, we'll put a triangle around that one, with the constant over here of positive 8. So 8 minus 7 is a positive 1. And there's your polynomial in standard form, so the exponents are in descending order, combined together. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at the perimeter of a rectangle. Well, just kind of going back to geometry, perimeter is adding up all of the sides. So if this top side is 7 plus 3x, then we know that opposite sides are congruent. We have 7 plus 3x on the bottom. And again, opposite sides are congruent. So if we have 5x squared on the right-hand side minus 2, we're going to have 5x squared minus 2 on this left-hand side. So when we add up all these terms, we're adding all four, or finding the perimeter, we're adding all four sides together. So let's just start at the top here. We're going to take 7 plus 3x plus the right-hand side of 5x squared minus 2 plus the bottom, which is 7 plus 3x plus the left-hand side, which is 5x squared minus 2. So let's go ahead and let's start, since we want these in descending order, let's start with our x squareds. So we have 5x squared plus 5x squared, which that's going to give us 10x squared. Okay, so now we need to combine our x's. So we have 3x And just going down the line, plus 3x. So that's going to give us 6x. And now we need to combine our constants. So 7 minus 2, 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 plus 7 minus 2, well, 7 minus 2 is another 5, right? So 5 plus 5 should give us 10. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at some subtraction. So when subtracting, subtraction is going to be the same thing as adding the like terms. You're going to remove the parentheses from the first expression and rewrite each term. You do not change the signs. When you remove the parentheses from the second expression, you change each term into its opposite sign. And then, of course, you're going to combine your like terms. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at an example here. So we have our polynomial, 8x to the third minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 9. We see a subtraction sign in between these two polynomials. So what that's telling me is that every single sign after this minus sign needs to change. So it's kind of like we're distributing that -1 to each term. So our first polynomial is going to stay the same, 8x to the third, okay? So then right underneath this polynomial, we can write it underneath, and that's perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change all of these signs here. So a 2x to the third becomes minus 2x to the third. 6x squared becomes minus 6x squared. Negative x becomes positive x. And positive 1 becomes -1. And as you can see, I lined them up on top of each other. So this is another way of combining your like terms. You can line the polynomials up above each other and then combine the like terms this way. So 8x to the third minus 2x to the third is 6x to the third. 3x squared minus 6x squared becomes a -9x squared. -2x plus an x, -2 plus 1 is just a -1, and 9 minus 1 is 8, and there's your polynomial. So the first polynomial will stay the same. I rewrote the second one underneath it, changing every single sign, and now combining like terms. Here is your answer. Okay, so let's try this one here. So here we have a quadratic, 7x squared minus 4x. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this over here, 7x squared minus 4x. And then the second quadratic is being subtracted from it, so that means I need to take that negative sign and distribute it to all three terms. So that 5x squared is now going to become -5x squared. I'll go ahead and line it up. And a negative x becomes a plus x. And a positive 3 becomes a -3. And we can go ahead and combine like terms. So 7x squared minus 5x squared is 2x squared. -4x plus an x is -3x. And since we didn't have a constant to combine with this -3, we're just going to bring it down. And there's your answer. Okay. So here, for number 5, it says find the missing side given our perimeter. So just to kind of walk through this with you guys on what you would need to do for your steps, is you have two sides of this triangle. And remember, we just talked about perimeter means to add up all the sides. Well, we're missing one. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the two sides that we know. We have 2x squared minus 5, and we have 3x squared plus 9x, and we're going to add those two sides together. So we're going to get 5x squared. Okay, the 5, this negative 5 and the 9 cannot be combined. They are not like terms. So we bring down the 9x and we bring down the negative 5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two sides that we added together and we're going to subtract it from the whole. So it needs to be the perimeter minus the sum of the two sides. Give myself some more room here. So we're going to take the perimeter of 5x squared. Let me come down here and write this. Plus 7x plus 12. And we are going to subtract, and here's the important part, to put that in parentheses. We're going to subtract the sum of the two sides, which is 5x squared plus 9x minus 5. So remember, with the subtraction, you do want to distribute your negative sign. So the first polynomial is going to stay the same. And the second one will change. So minus a 5x squared, a minus 9x, and a plus 5. So now when we combine these like terms here, give myself some more room. 5x squared minus 5x squared is 0. 7x minus 9x is negative 2x. And 12 plus 5 is going to be 17. So the answer for the third side of this triangle is negative 2x plus 17. We can come back and write that up here. Negative 2x plus 17. Okay, so now let's take a look at the last operation, which is multiplication. Now we've been multiplying polynomials throughout this semester, so there's actually nothing really new here. So we're just going to take a look at one example, and we're going to multiply a trinomial with a trinomial. So remember, when you're multiplying, you multiply the coefficients together and you add the exponents. So with the adding and the subtracting, we didn't do anything with those exponents except just combine the numbers in the front. So now we have to kind of switch gears, and we're going to, when we distribute, start multiplying the numbers in the front, the coefficients, and adding the exponents. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this trinomial. So we have three terms with this trinomial here. So remember, you're going to distribute. So we're going to take this 2x squared and we're going to multiply to every single term inside of this parentheses. Okay, so we're going to take 2x squared times x squared. So multiply the numbers in the front and add the exponents. That becomes 2x to the fourth. 2x squared times x, multiply the numbers in the front and add the exponent. So that's 2x to the third. 2x squared times negative 2, multiply the numbers, so that's negative 4. I don't have any exponents to add to that, so I'm going to bring down my x squared. Change colors here. So now we're just going to move down the line, and we're going to take that negative 3 and do the same thing with that. So we're going to take negative 3 times x squared, negative 3x, and distribute that. So negative 3x times x squared is negative 3x to the third. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line it up underneath this term here, because we're going to combine those here in just a second. Negative 3x times an x is negative 3x squared. And negative 3x times negative 2 is positive 6x. Now we're going to do the same with the 5. So 5 times x squared, 5 times x, and 5 times negative 2. 5 times x squared is 5x squared, and I'm going to go ahead and line that up underneath our x squareds. 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So as you guys can see, we are going to combine all of these terms here. And missed that a little bit. We're going to add all of our like terms. So now that I've lined them up, I can bring down my 2x to the 4th because I have nothing to combine with that. My x to the 3rds, we can combine 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. 4x squared minus 3x squared, well, this will give us a negative 7. And negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. 6x plus 5x is 11x. And nothing to combine with this negative 10 down here, so we're going to bring that down. And there is your polynomial all multiplied